Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on all kinds of issues related to narcissistic and difficult relationships. Drop this one in the comments. How many of you were introduced to the narcissistic person you got into a relationship with, or business relationship, whatever? But how many of you were introduced to the narcissist that came into your life through friends or family? Drop that one in the comments. It kind of sucks when it happens, right? So people you trust, friends, family, anything, they introduce you to someone, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, this is a great person. You should, you have bit similar business interests, or you'll get along so well, or whatever. Then the family members or the friends or people you actually respect and know. And you're like, yeah, of course I'd like to meet this person. I trust you. And I am sure that look at these comments, I'm going to see this is lots of you. This is such a difficult one. When other people introduce us to someone, and it doesn't even have to be romantic, it could be anything, we kind of assume, because we trust this person, that they sort of vetted them. So we may actually let our guard down. Trust you me, I have lived through this. I hate to say it, on both sides. And everyone I know has at least one narcissistic person who came into their lives through the gateway of other people they trusted. So like I said, this is a trust one. And I'm both equally guilty. I've introduced people to narcissistic people. So bad. And I've been introduced to narcissistic people by others. Like I said, I get this on both sides. Now, this is especially hard if these are long-term friends or family members, like I said, where you have a good relationship, where you've traditionally trusted them and still do. But when they introduce us to someone, we may think that this person has sort of been pre-screened. Well, not so fast. So why does this sometimes, and more often than we'd like to think, end badly? Well, the trickiest element of antagonistic and narcissistic personalities is the shape-shifting, to be one way with new people, one way with intimate partners, one way with friends, one way at work, one way with more superficial relationships. Healthy people, on the other hand, are very consistent in how they relate to others. People with more shallow personality styles often can shift, put on different masks to get their needs met and get their validation needs met. So your friends, especially if they know this narcissistic person as sort of a lighthearted, fun, charming, charismatic friend, or the narcissistic person is somehow beholden to them. For example, maybe your brother is the narcissistic person's boss. They may not see that whole full person. So as a result, they may not be in a position to know what it would be like to be in a relationship with this person they're introducing you to, or to work with this person. The danger of antagonistic personalities is that their big closet is full of masks. And if you haven't had that experience with them, for example, dating them, you may not know that about them. But we like to think that our friends will have our best interests at heart. So they tell us, hey, I know this really cool person you should meet. And so you may even ignore red flags or that icky intuitive feeling you get in your gut when you meet them, because your friends or other people you respect and trust tell you, hey, this person's cool. And you think, well, if my best friend from forever, who I respect, thinks that this person is cool, and I'm kind of thinking this person's a little wonky, then maybe it's me and my sensitivity, and I'm sort of being a little red flaggy. Be careful of self-gaslighting, right? But so you go with it, right? You meet the person and your friends are happy for you, and yeah, aren't they such a great person? Or you may say, yeah, sure, yeah, this person's really the right person to do this business idea with that your family member recommends, but you still are having the red flags, and the red flags may continue to mount up. And now it's bigger than just your gut. Patterns you're seeing may even be concerning: lies, manipulations, gaslighting, invalidation, verbal abuse, whatever it is. And you may now be in a real conundrum, because you may not want to say anything to your friend or whatever trusted person introduced you. And worse yet, your friend may not believe you. They may say something like, I don't know, I've known them for years and they've always been great. Are you sure that you aren't saying something to kind of mess things up, or you're not misreading the situation? So with that doubt thrown in, you may actually stick it out longer, endure more abuse, and suffer more in one of these situations than you might if the introduction had not been made by somebody that you already knew. But you may endure more in this relationship, more because people you trust are signing off on this person, but you are feeling uncomfortable in this relationship, yet you stick it out. And then when things don't work out, that can raise new issues, as it may result in tension between you and the person who introduced you to them. The friend who introduced you may have valued the friendship or the relationship that they had with that person, who it's becoming increasingly clear has an antagonistic personality. And there's even a risk it could put a wedge between you and that friend of yours. Or you may also be angry at your friend or family for introducing you to someone who is kind of doing some emotional and psychological harm to you. It doesn't always have to end badly. And some, in fact, I'd say many friendships can get through. But this is only going to happen only if your friend doesn't gaslight you and is able to see the difficult patterns that you're pointing out and not defend themselves and question you or question what happened to you. But you may have also been looking sideways at your friend saying, do you even know me? Like, what were you thinking, believing that this would be a good match for me? And again, that could undercut the relationship that you were in with your friend, because you may actually think, wow, it doesn't even feel like my friend gets me. Now, once you have been through this enough, you will always trust your own gut. Like I said, I've been through this multiple times on both sides. When I've had people I trust be a bridge to toxic people, or I've introduced people to toxic people. Listen, I'm a trauma bond poster child. So I often wanted to believe that other people were smarter than me, or I wanted to please them. So I would often go along with the introductions that people make for me. This has actually happened to me a lot more in professional situations. And let me tell you, I have gotten into some really big messes. In some cases, the original friendship, the person who introduced me to the toxic or narcissistic person, we did fine. We got to the other side. But in others, the trust eroded and the friendship sort of died on the vine. But in all cases, I do admit feeling quite angry. And in the cases where I've brought a narcissist into someone's life, I think I'll feel guilty about that till the day I die. So even if people you really care about and who you believe care about you make this kind of an introduction, still keep your red flag detectors up. Keep your gut fully on and pay attention. If it doesn't feel good, don't get lost in making excuses. Things like, oh, but my best friend thinks they're great. You know you. And if your friend doesn't understand why you might have had to step away from the person you introduced them to, then they really weren't a healthy friend to begin with. We are the only detection systems that work for us. If you say yes to please the friend or to please the introducer, always be aware you may be entering a risky space. Just because someone you know introduces you to someone doesn't make it safe. Thanks again.